Hey, movie friends, welcome back to the show. This is Anthony.
And this is James. We're going to be tackling the Scream franchise, which were directed by Wes Craven, the filmmaker behind Nightmare on Elm Street. And we love the Scream franchise, and the original Scream is probably my favorite slasher movie, and it's really important in the horror genre in general because of the revitalization it did for the slasher horror genre in the mid-90s when that whole entire horror world was kind of dying and the slashers were dying, and it really reignited the flame for that entire subgenre.
Yeah, and we grew up on this franchise. This was the slasher franchise for our generation.
We watched this a bunch when we were kids.
And the Freddy Krueger movies came out in the 80s, and so the Jasons in the 70s and 80s, and so this one was ours, and it was iconic. And, you know, the cast in the Scream movies were pop culture phenomenons, from, like, you know, Courtney Cox and Neve Campbell, Drew Barrymore for being in the first one. These were gigantic movies. Everybody saw them. And also, the Scream franchise gave us one of the most fun slashers of all time, probably the most fun slasher character of all time, Ghostface.
With Ghostface. And there's a reason why we left Ghostface out of our recent horror episode where we did the top horror icons. We did Freddy, Jason, and Michael Myers, and we left Ghostface out because it's a different killer every time, you know, whereas the other
doesn't count.
The other three dudes is the same person each time or same entity each time. But
yeah. Ghostface,
that's one of the pros and cons to this entire franchise, is that they mix it up every movie because it's a different killer, or different killers, plural. Sometimes it's singular, in which I think it's both beneficial. I think it works in the second film, but then you kind of run into this issue where you're going to run out of plausible killers that are completely connected to Sidney Prescott and her storyline. Like by Scream 7, it's going to be like she cut some guy off in traffic and now they're on this murderous rampage as Ghostface to get back at her.
I wouldn't put it past the writers.
So, like, I mean, you run out of plausible enemies in her past.
By the time it was her long-lost brother who she never met in Scream 3, it was like very soap opera-y.
Yeah.
It was getting a little too much. But what works is Scream is always a whoddunit type of movie, you know.
That's why they're so fun.
Whodunit murder mystery, and you always see who the killer or killers are throughout the entire film. You know, it's not like they come out of nowhere. So I like how the filmmakers are always showing you, here are all the suspects. Who's it going to be at the end?
Exactly. And before we continue, the best way to support Raiders of the Lost podcast is to share us with your family and friends and become a patron at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost podcast. Patrons get perks like personalized videos, our podcast schedules. Top-tier patrons get a monthly shout-out on the podcast to be immortalized forever. And the best perk of all is every patron, $2, $5, or $10, has access to our bonus episodes, which post every Monday, as well as patron-only giveaways, which we just did. Head on over to our website, RaidersofTheLostPodcast.com, to see all of our sources of content, our merch, our movie posters. Follow, subscribe, wherever you're listening. Thank you so much for tuning in. And now, we were just talking about the whodunit horror aspect of it, which I think is so fun, and it's always great to like try to figure out. We obviously know from the first one the rules of Scream. Then when you watch 2, 3, and 4, even when you go back to them, you're trying to pick out who it could be. Like, I remember we just recently watched Scream 2. I hadn't seen that in like a decade at least.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I think I know one of the killers, but then the rest of the movie I'm trying to figure out who the second killer was the whole time.
And they also throw you on false leads by the second and third and fourth ones. Like, the boyfriend trope becomes, especially in Scream 2, with Jerry O'Connell's character, Derek. Is he the killer? Is he like Billy Loomis? Or is he really a good guy in the end? So they kind of set it up to be the same kind of archetype, but then they twist it and say, oh, actually, you're wrong if you thought that as well. So they're always trying to lead you on a false trail.
So what makes Ghostface as a murderer, as a killer, so terrifying? I think the mystery behind who Ghostface is the biggest threat behind the character and what makes it so interesting, but also the connection to the characters, specifically Sidney Prescott. I think making it personal makes it even more interesting.
And, you know, Ghostface is always extremely cunning. No matter who's being Ghostface, they seem to be like an expert at stealthily moving through spaces.
Really bad at stabbing people in the first try, though.
Yeah, terrible in the first try.
You have the element of surprise, and Ghostface always misses.
Yeah.
Always misses. Like, what are you going with, like, a haymaker slice for? Go with, like, just straight jab slice.
Or you, like, just grab them, and you got them right there, and you grasp. That's it.
Throw something at them.
But I do like how Ghostface always uses a knife. It's the iconic weapon of choice for a killer, and I think it works really well. And these movies, Wes Craven had a really great way of being able to create suspense and thrills with very simple scenes. And like that first scene with Drew Barrymore, the opening, it was so excellent. It was so iconic. It's funny. It's terrifying. It's graphic. and it's really, really gruesome by the end. Like when her parents discover her hanging from the tree, it's like this movie gets really messed up. And I think that Wes Craven really set the tone perfectly with that opening. And all of the films, it's like part of the franchise. You have to have a great opening kill scene to really set up each film. And I think that every one of the openings are pretty solid for sure.
Yeah, 1 and 2 specifically. 3 is pretty good too, but I don't like 4 actually. I don't like the opening. We'll get to that in a little bit. But to stay on Ghostface for a little bit, in terms of the wardrobe and the costume of Ghostface, this thing was so popular for years.
Oh, yeah.
We were like 12 years old. It was like 2001, 2002. We were still dressing up as Ghostface on Halloween. We had like the knives that have the fake blood that goes up and down inside of it.
Everyone did Ghostface.
Ghostface has been culturally relevant for almost 2.5 decades now. It's insane. It's so popular.
And the costumes were great. They had the green glow-in-the-dark ones, so when you were outside, your face would glow in the dark.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
Which that comes into play in Stab 2 at the movie screening. Like the knives are glow in the dark.
Yeah. I love Ghostface. And what's ironic is that the filmmakers originally intended to make Ghostface's costume all white to make him or her look like a ghost the entire time, but I believe the producers thought it looked a little too much like a KKK outfit.
Would have 100%.
And so they were like, yeah, we can't do this. Let's just make it a black outfit.
Imagine if they get like a splotch of red on their chest.
Yeah, exactly. And that would be really hard to hide in places if you were dressed in all white.
It wouldn't look good. It's like way more scary if it's all black because you can't really see them in the low lit houses and everything.
Exactly. And then
like you could see Ghostface sneaking around bushes outside if it was in all white. Like I could see you, bro.
Is there a Klan rally nearby?
And
Jesus.
like laundry would be a pain in the ass for Ghostface.
There'd be so much blood on it.
They'd need a lot of bleach and all that, maybe some OxyClean, something every night.
They'd need 50 different costumes.
You'd need Patrick Bateman's laundromat. It's cranberry juice. Cran apple. Can you talk to these people?
I love it.
Maybe next Thursday I'll call you. All right, we're on Scream.
But what's really cool is Drew Barrymore. She was actually cast as Sidney Prescott in the original Scream, so she was supposed to be Sidney for the franchise.
And why didn't it work out? Scheduling?
It was scheduling conflicts with something else she was working on, another project, and then so she still wanted to be involved in the film in some capacity. And then her and Wes Craven decided it would be a brilliant idea if she was in the opening scene of that death scene, because no one would see it coming, because at the time Drew Barrymore was one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. And so it was just same kind of thinking as in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, Janet Leigh getting killed so quickly. You have Drew Barrymore dying within 5 minutes. That really shocked audiences because she's also right on the posters. It makes it seem like she's a lead character in the film. And so when she was killed, audiences were so shocked.
Similar to how in Catherine Bigelow's Hurt Locker, she takes Guy Pearce out super early, who is also a well-known person. So I think
tragic.
I love seeing that in films when you just flip it on its head and keep people on their toes. And another aspect of the Scream franchise that I adore is the meta aspect of it, where it's a horror movie that knows it's a horror movie, and the characters, specifically Randy, and then everyone else, it seems like in Scream 5 from the trailer and Scream 3 and 4, they're constantly referring to like the rules of horror movies and trying to survive based on those rules. So it's a lot of fun in that aspect.
It's like 21 Jump Street. I think Lord and Miller really,
movie.
I think they got inspiration from the Scream franchise, always, tongue-in-cheek, poking fun at itself at times. Like in the second Scream, they were making fun of the lack of diversity in the first one, like saying that's just a movie about a bunch of white people problems and stuff like that. Whereas in the first film, it's basically no diversity in the cast at all. And so they're constantly evolving and making fun of themselves as they're making each film.
Yeah, well, actually, Scream 2 is a very diverse cast, but then Scream 4, it's just like, let's kill as many pretty white people as we can. It's kind of annoying.
It's shocking how many white people are in Scream 4.
If you have a Scream marathon, you'd be like, Jesus.
Yeah, there's like 20 lead cast members too, and they're all white.
Yeah.
They're all beautiful white people. It's so weird. I was like, come on, guys.
Because Scream 2 did such a great job casting-wise like that.
Anthony Anderson's the only person of color in that whole movie.
Yeah, you're right.
He plays one of the deputies.
One of the cops.
Yeah.
Gets stabbed right in the forehead.
Yeah, obviously. And I was just like, I was watching a rerun of that, and I was like, wow, they did not do a good job casting this film at all.
Well, Scream 4 is, I think, in my opinion, probably the worst out of all of them.
Definitely.
Scream 3 is not that great either, but I think I can stand it more than Scream 4.
Yeah.
But I think Scream...
It's hard to live up to the first.
Yeah, but I think Scream 2 is a very good horror sequel, and there aren't a ton of like excellent horror sequels. Like I would say like Aliens is one of them, and then I think A Quiet Place Part 2 is really good. The Conjuring 2 is pretty good. Final Destination 2 is pretty good. There's really just like a handful or a dozen maybe of good horror sequels, and I think Scream 2 is there.
It's hard to capitalize on a horror movie and do it again, I think.
Yeah, but I think they didn't blow like their final shots on the connection to Sidney Prescott and who the killer could be. With number 2, it's plausible who the killer is in that because it seems like a solid revenge motivation, whereas 3 with the long lost brother, and then 4 is kind of like, okay,
Like we're pushing it.
all right,
We're pushing it.
Then it seems like Scream 5, they're just rebooting and passing it off to new characters.
Scream 5, it should be just someone who's a copycat who was inspired by the killings. That ultimately is the only thing I would really get behind, because if they try to tie it to Sydney again, it would just be super unbelievable and just kind of take you out of the movie experience.
Oh yeah, I absolutely agree. Because you can't keep doing the same thing because with Halloween you can keep doing it. You can keep doing Freddy movies, you can keep doing Jason movies, because it's one person connected to other people, like especially with Halloween, you just keep rebooting the hell out of that, no big deal. But with this, when you kill the killers each time, and you need to find new connections to Sidney Prescott, like I said, it's going to be some guy in traffic.
I think number 5, it should be Sydney, who's Ghostface.
That'd be pretty cool.
See, why not? She's gone insane.
She went insane.
That's what I would do.
Who wouldn't go insane if someone tried to kill you 4 times with a knife for like major parts of your life?
And it's become like the defining thing of your life is your Sidney Prescott. No one would see that coming. If I was going to make a Scream movie, I'd be like, Sydney, she's Ghostface for sure. She kills all the original OG cast members. It'll be a lot of fun.
But they're her friends.
Not anymore.
Not anymore, they're not. So what would be her motivation then?
She's gone insane, and because the persona of Ghostface has been so prevalent in her life, she has decided to take on the persona of Ghostface to take control back in the situation.
Maybe she wants to write another book and she needs some material. You know, she tried her hand at fiction, didn't work out. She needs to keep writing true crime about her life, and she needs more Ghostface. Maybe she misses it, the thrill of being chased around by a madman with a knife. So now she wants to be the madman with a knife. If you think about it, she actually is Ghostface kind of in a couple of these movies towards the end of the third act.
Yeah, I think it's perfect. It's obvious.
It's obvious. Oh, wow. Everyone, mark your calendars. What's today's date?
Sign me up, man.
October, 16th? What is it?
I'm not saying that's going to be in the movie.
You said...
No, it's obvious it should be her.
It should be her?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Today is October 18th, so everyone paying attention. Anthony said 100% without a doubt that Scream 5, the killer is Sidney Prescott, alone with an alien.
That's exactly what I said.
It's on record. It's on this podcast forever.
I can't deny it.
Should we dive into the first one? Do you have anything more ambiguous things about Scream you want to talk about?
No, let's go.
All right, Scream, the original, came out in 1996.
Is that what it's called?
Scream, the original. Released in 1996, directed by Wes Craven, written by Kevin Williamson, on a budget of $14 million. This made $173 million. Rotten Tomatoes, it's at 79%. And we all know the plot to this movie. A year after the murder of her mother, a teenage girl, Sidney Prescott, is terrorized by a new killer who targets the girl and her friends by using horror films as part of a deadly game.
And this movie was actually considered a bomb when it first came out, and producers and the studio were very worried when it initially released because it only made $4 million in its opening weekend, which is not very good. Although it made $4 million opening weekend, the word of mouth was really strong and carried. And so each weekend following, it made more money. So then the second weekend, it made more, and then the third weekend, it made even more. So,
but what about the fifth weekend? Did it make more after that or less?
It did. So ultimately, it made over $100 million domestic. So it was a really standout surprise for the studio.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite slasher movie. I think it's a lot of fun. And it might also be my favorite high school movie. I think just because it has both categories, if you think about it.
With 30-year-olds playing high schoolers?
Everyone, well, it's not as bad as Scream 2. They're like literally 30 years old.
Timothy Olyphant is a 40-year-old playing a college student.
I think he's 30 in
he
real
looks
life.
40.
But because he has that corner temple receding hairline. It's not receding, but it's the mature hairline
deep,
where it's his temples. Like, that does not happen to a 20-year-old. Like, Timothy Olyphant looks like an old man in that movie. He's a very handsome old man, but he's pretty old. But I think Scream, the original, it's a perfect horror movie. It still holds up today. It's still... I don't have any issues with it at all. Everything about it, the filmmaking is very solid. And I think just even the name of the movie itself is kind of genius. Scream. It's a horror movie. Why not just call it Scream?
You know what it was originally supposed to be called?
The White Ghost.
No. Close. It was actually originally titled Scary Movie.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then the producers thought it wasn't scary enough, so they changed it to Scream. And then, ironically, Scary Movie franchise took Scary Movie.
Well, the concept is very solid, and the plot about Scream, it's not anything we haven't seen before, but they did new twists and added new flair to that cliche. There are cliches all over it. That's the meta part of it, but they're making fun of themselves at the same time.
The original is the best story by far because it's the most simple. The sequels, they get very complicated, and, you know, the filmmakers are trying so hard to throw you off that it kind of gets a little convoluted, whereas the first one's really simple. You know, it's easy to follow, and you're along for the ride the whole time. There's never moments where I'm just, like, taken out of it. I'm fully in. Wes Craven and the filmmakers, they're aware of what they're making. They're not trying to make like the best movie ever made. You know, they know who their audience is, they know what their intentions are, and they like just achieved it perfectly.
Yeah, and they're making fun of the cliches of horror movies. We have the virgin with the boyfriend who like breaks into her window to sneak up and say hi to her and is trying to have sex with her, but she's not ready yet. And then we have the horror movie video store guy, then the boyfriend and his cool friend, they have the parties. It's all like cliche stuff we'd seen before, and then the popular best friend. It's nothing new, but I think they did something new with it.
The tone.
The tone, exactly.
It's the tone. And, you know...
The attitude.
Exactly. It's got tude. But it is scary. There are moments, like, the attacks are really good, like the school attack, the house attack.
On the Fonz?
Yeah, on the Fonz.
And in the bathroom, too.
And on Sydney as well. That first house attack is really great. And, you know, Drew's opening scene is excellent.
It might be the best part of the movie.
I think it's the best part of the entire franchise.
It's like 12, 15 minutes long, it feels like, too.
It really sells the audience on the entire concept right there. And it's just an excellent scene. It's really well made. It's a movie within a movie, essentially.
Yeah. And speaking of Scary Movie, that movie it's basically a spoof of Scream 1 and Scream 2. And these movies are so popular and iconic that it branched a whole new subgenre of spoof horror movies. And Scary Movie is so good. It's
hysterical.
So funny. Like, we got to watch it soon because we just watched Scream 2, and we love Scream 1. But, I mean, what they did with that film, making fun of this, is every minute of it's perfect. I can't not watch Scream or Scream 2 and not think about Scary Movie the whole time and all the jokes.
Scary Movie, they did a solid job of spoofing this. It's so hysterical. And Scary Movie 3 is my favorite, but Scary Movie 1, they're both a couple of the funniest movies ever made. And if you've seen Scream enough, you're just cracking up. And like whenever I watch Scream, I'm always thinking about Scary Movie and how they spoof each scene here and there. It's so funny.
But, you know, Scream 1, again, simple storyline, simple plot. So Sidney Prescott, the reason why someone's out trying to kill her, we shouldn't spoil who it is yet, right?
I think everyone's seen it.
Well, we've all seen it.
We're 30 minutes in.
Yeah, all right. So we're all assuming you've all seen Scream.
If you haven't, turn it off.
The killers in this film are Billy Loomis and Stu Maker, and Billy is Sidney's boyfriend. And unfortunately for her, she ends up losing her virginity with him the night of that party, so she couldn't die because, according to Randy, the virgin always survives. That's why they always survive, like in Halloween and in Jason, I think the virgin always does. And then his motivation was because Billy's mother left him and his family because...
To be with Sidney's dad.
Oh, no. So yeah, because Sidney's mother, Maureen, had an affair with Billy's dad, which caused his mother to leave home. So he then is the person who killed Maureen, so we think at this point, Sidney's mother, and the rest of the victims with Stu. Now, Stu is his best bud, and Stu is actually a really funny character. And the thing about him is motivation. He jokes about it, but it seems like truth about the same time, where he says, it's peer pressure. I'm far too sensitive.
My mom and dad are going to be so mad at me.
Peer pressure. I'm far too sensitive. Which seems like a real plausible motivation. Kind of if you have like a best friend who's manipulating the hell out of you in high school, you're very impressionable at that age. So I could see that being a plausible motivation.
Yeah, discount Johnny Depp manipulating him. Yeah.
What's his name?
Skeet Ulrich.
Skeet Ulrich. Yeah, he's iconic in this movie.
Yeah. It's a great villain. And Matthew Lillard actually got the role on just like an off chance accident. He was in the same studio with his girlfriend she was auditioning for a role in a movie, and then a producer saw him in a hallway, thought he looked good for the part, and asked him to audition, and then he got the role.
Yeah,
he brings a lot of energy. You can tell he brought so much to that character.
But like kind of like what we talked about with Jack Nicholson, like there's something about him that like he seems on edge or he can snap any moment. That's kind of what he brings to the character of Billy. Like there's something behind his eyes that's kind of evil, but like what Wes Craven and Williamson do, they do a great job of like dissuading suspicion from Billy, the first night where Sydney gets attacked and Billy's coming in through the window and the cops show up and she thinks it's him, but then he gets the alibi because basically the killer struck again while he was in a jail cell the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Little do they know that there's actually two of the Ghostface, which is usually the case in these horror films.
Yeah. What do you think is the best kill?
The best kill of the movie?
Yeah.
I think the first it's amazing. It's an iconic kill. It's, it's very memorable. It's obviously been spoofed in a ton of movies. So that one was really shocking and terrifying. But also, I think the party kill with the garage door is also another iconic kill. They're both in this movie. In terms of like horror history, they're great.
I think that, and I think that the cameraman kill is really great in the van. Like, that's super graphic and super bloody. It's really shocking.
Yeah. So speaking of the camera van, we have Courtney Cox as Gail Weathers, and she is a bloodthirsty reporter looking out for any kind of scoop on any story, and she's just salivating at the thought of these teenagers being murdered by a psychopathic maniac in the town in Woodsboro.
And Courtney Cox, she pursued this role. She wanted it, and she asked the filmmakers to give her a chance because she wanted to change the public opinion about her because she had been on Friends for several years by now.
It was still running.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was still running, and it had already been on for a bunch of years. And she's very bubbly and friendly and fun in that show. And she wanted people to do something very different as she could. And then Gail seemed to be a perfect outlet for her to try something new, get audiences to see her in a different light, basically play an asshole. Gail is an asshole. She's very dominating. She's very selfish, and she'll do anything to get ahead. So she's the opposite of what she usually plays.
Yeah, versus Monica on Friends, who's just like a sweetheart. She's the best. She's very this narcissistic reporter who, again, will do anything to get a story on these teenagers being murdered, and she wants to be the first one to drop this story. And then also David Arquette is Deputy Dewey, who I cannot ever think about. Special Officer Dewey reports for duty.
I told you not to disturb me when I'm cleaning my room.
Never disturb me when I'm cleaning my room.
Gail swallows.
I can't watch Scream or any of them, and I can't look at David Arquette and not see Officer Doofy. I'm sorry, man.
And you said, doesn't that actor still go to Comic-Con and stuff?
He goes to like events and he does the character. It's actually pretty funny. And I can't remember who it was, but a fan of ours sent a photo of him. He actually just got a photo of the guy who plays Officer Doofy in Scary Movie, and the guy did the Doofy face in the photo. It's so funny, like that scrunched up neck.
It's so funny because David Arquette, bless him, but sometimes the way he just seems like
he's
he doesn't
a goofy guy.
Yeah, he seems kind of clueless half the time.
I think he's pretty good in this first movie. I don't think he's amazing in the second one, but he gets better in the third and fourth. But in the first one, Dewey's a solid character. He's very innocent. He's probably the exact opposite, you could say, of Gail Weathers, where he's very selfless and he just wants everyone to make it out all right. But there are some questionable moments in this film, like when he, as a police officer, drops off his sister and Sydney to a house party the night of curfew and lockdown of the town of Woodsboro because there's a maniac killer on the loose. And I know he's like trying to keep an eye on everything, but like probably not the safest thing to do, let alone the underage drinking.
He walks inside to like give it a check, and all these teens are getting wasted. He's like, "Yeah, seems fine.
Yeah, can I have a beer, dude?" Yeah, he walks in as a cop.
It's like, what the hell?
Are you gonna like take the beer away? It's like a 14-year-old over there, dude, ripping bong hits.
Oh, Dewey.
But him and Gail obviously have the back and forth, and I think it works really well in the first film and even works in the second film, but then after that, it's always the kind of the same thing where they're butting heads and then getting back together at the end, even though aren't they married in the fourth one, I think?
In the fourth one? Yeah, they are. Yeah.
But, they did in the second one, they're broken up, then get back together kind of, and then the third one, same kind of thing. So I think that gets a little old if they're constantly rekindling and ending it, but yeah. It seems like you can't be in a relationship with someone like Gail Weathers anyways.
Yeah, exactly. And they were, the chemistry is real because obviously they got married and they were married for a few years while making these movies.
Yeah. Oh, they were married in real life. That's right.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
They started dating on Scream 2 and then they got married right before Scream 3 started filming.
Totally forgot about that. So it probably worked really well for their characters on camera.
Yeah, I guess. Maybe they got divorced because of Scream 4.
Maybe. But overall, the story. Also, I think Randy is one of my favorite characters in the entire franchise because
Randy's great.
He's always giving us the wisdom and the rules behind the horror movies and what to look out for. And he actually suspects Billy right away. He's like, it's clearly Billy. Like, I'm the only one who sees it. He's in the video store.
He suspects them both.
He's like, who else would it be?
It's both of you guys.
And then he tells them the rules again, like, you don't leave the room and say, I'll be right back because you won't be back and stuff like that. So I think he's a great character, and he shows up in the second one, too, doing the same kind of thing.
Yeah, Jamie Kennedy steals every scene he's in.
And he's in the third one briefly as a
videotape. But I think it was a mistake to kill him off in the second one. I think he should have stuck around for the entire franchise.
I think he might be the best performance in all of the films. Like, his acting is the best in it.
He's super funny, and you can tell he improvised a lot and brought a lot that wasn't on the page. And he has a very infectious personality. That's why he was able to lead a bunch of comedies in the 2000s as well. And so I think that killing him off was that was a big mistake.
I was pretty disappointed when they did that in Scream 2.
He's like, oh, it's like my favorite character.
He's the funniest part of the movie so far.
And he gets killed like in 20 minutes in.
In Scream 2, he's the best part of the first act easily.
Absolutely, 100%.
Very entertaining and fun.
But the house party in Scream is epic. It's like it takes up like a big chunk of the runtime. It's like almost an hour. It's like I believe it's like 40 minutes of the entire party. The production spent over 11 weeks just filming this one sequence, and they make a joke that this was the longest scene ever filmed for a movie because it's technically one scene.
Oh yeah, I guess that makes sense, but there's a ton of different parts going on. We have Gail and Dewey doing their thing on the side. Even the cameraman has his own little storyline when he gets killed. Then all the times that the teenagers go into different rooms, like when the girl goes in the garage, and then when Sydney and Billy go upstairs to have their moment of solitude together. So there's a lot going on in this sequence, and I mean, it ends with the final act, and then with the
ketchup
reveal, the ketchup.
In Scary Movie, he licks his ketchup. He's like, just like Mom used to make it.
Like Mom used to put on spaghetti or something like that. He's like white trash, lives next door in a trailer.
It's so funny.
But the reveal of the killer in this movie is fantastic because Sydney seems to have let all of her defenses down with Billy, completely trusts him, and she loses her virginity to Billy during the party, which probably not the best place to do it, especially when there's a serial killer about, but like at this loud-ass party. Anyways, we've all been teenagers. And then the killer comes into the bedroom and supposedly stabs Billy, and then obviously the chase ensues, and then Billy later downstairs reveals himself to be the killer along with Stu, and they take out Randy in the shoulder.
Getting a little woozy, man.
But yeah, I think that it works best in this film because Scream 4 kind of uses the same method of murder, and their plan is where they're going to injure themselves to make it seem like Sydney's father injured them in the process with stab wounds, and they were the lone survivors after killing everybody.
And this is obviously like the only plot hole in Scream where like why didn't they just kill her first and then do it? But you kind of like you accept that with this one. But when they did it in the fourth one, when Jill thinks she kills Sydney just by stabbing her once, it's like, come on, stab her. Make sure she's dead before you pretend.
Yeah,
you know
I think it's fine in the first one. It's annoying, but like when I guess if you're in the moment and you're
It's
a serial
fun.
killer, it's like, oh, let's just stab each other
Who
now.
else are they gonna tell the plan to?
But,
you know.
But Billy takes it too far and he keeps stabbing the hell out of Stu.
Yeah.
He's like, I feel a little woozy here, Billy. And then what's great about it is when they're stabbing each other, Sydney obviously disappears and hides away, and she kind of pretends to now. She's like taking the role of Ghostface now, and she's calling them on the phone, and she tells Stu that she called their parents, and Stu's like, did you really call my mom? My parents are gonna be so mad at me.
That's great. But I think it does not work in the fourth one. Like, make sure Sydney's dead before you do it.
For real. But then she comes out, obviously, and takes out Billy.
With the umbrella.
And then Randy's still alive, and he warns them that there's always that one scare back for the killer isn't really dead for one last scream.
And then Billy goes like, ugh.
It's just like a zombie. Sydney's a good shot, though, right between the eyes.
Every time.
Right in the forehead.
Every time. But, it's a lot of fun, and it's super scary the first few times you see it, and especially if you see it in a theater. And, Wes Craven, he's an excellent director. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to get those thrills. He knows how to get those scares. The music's excellent. Marco Beltrami did the music for the whole franchise, so they just really know what they're doing to scare the audience.
Yeah, and overall, I mean, like we've been talking about, this movie, there's nothing new that hadn't been done before. But, Craven and Williamson, they just figured out a way to, flip it on its head and kind of take everything we've seen before, but change it up and take that meta approach of making fun of horror films at the same time of making a great classic horror film.
Exactly.
How about we head on into our intermission, since we have Scream 2, 3, and 4 left, but I think some of those will go by pretty fast because, Scream 4 and 3 are not phenomenal.
What do you mean they're not phenomenal?
So let's move into our movie quote competition, starting for the first bout in our intermission. And so I have a movie quote from a fan and one from me. This one's from Ramiz. If you had a sister and a dog, I'd choose the dog.
That's funny. Say it again.
I'll try to do it as the character. If you had a sister and a dog, I'd choose the dog.
Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
Good impression. Very good impression.
This is the physical body movements,
Yeah.
I think, that pulled it off.
Nice
All right.
job.
This one's from me. You know I can't give you the keys, right, babe?
Oh, I know this. It's Get Out.
Yeah.
Yeah. When he's on the stairwell trying to get out. Yeah. Great one. Good one.
T.S. motherfucking A. We handle shit.
We handle shit. All right, here's mine. I wasn't like every other kid, who dreams about being an astronaut. I was always more interested in what bark was made out of on a tree. Richard Gere's a real hero of mine. Sting would be another person who's a hero. The music he's created over the years, I don't really listen to it, but the fact that he's making it, I respect that.
Oh my God, Zoolander.
Yep.
That's so good.
It's Hansel.
The fact that he's making it, I respect that. Sting's a real hero of mine. That's so funny.
Oh,
Hansel,
so hot right now.
I think they're breakdance fighting. All right, guess this movie release year. The Fog.
The Fog.
Not to be
The old
confused
one.
with The Mist.
Yeah. This is a pretty old movie. The Fog came out in 1974.
80.
Oh, dang
Dang it.
Good one.
Thanks, man.
Stumped. Big time.
Stumped you hard.
Not 31 years off, though. Like
I don't know what you're talking about, bruh. I did that on purpose.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for the comedy.
For laughs.
yeah, comedic effect.
exactly.
All right, here's my year quiz. The Cable Guy.
This movie's so good. This is definitely the 90s. Let's see. Well, Ace Ventura was like 92, right? I'm going to go with 98.
96.
Ah, damn. Same
Nice
year as
try.
Scream.
Nice try.
All right. Movie pop quiz time. As we all know, in Friday the 13th, the original film, Jason's not the killer. It's his mother. Jason's not even in the movie. What is Mrs. Voorhees' first name?
Dang.
Dang, what's up with dang today?
I don't know. It just came out of me.
Dang it, man. Like sound like Peyton,
Try not to swear.
sound like Peyton Manning.
Trying to make out alternatives for curse words.
Gosh darn it.
Cheese and crackers. Damn it!
what's her name?
We just saw the movie last night where they said it.
Oh yeah, you're right. Does he,
Oh, and he says it in Scream 1.
It's in Scream 1, but
Yeah.
does he say the full name? I think he says Mrs. Voorhees. Mrs. Voorhees.
Yeah, he just says Mrs. Voorhees. I do not know. I can't even guess.
Voorhees. Jason doesn't show up till the sequel. Something like that.
Yeah.
It's Pamela.
Pamela.
Pam.
What a beautiful
Pam.
name.
Is it two M's?
Pan?
I think I can solve this whole pan problem.
So Pan.
So there's an N.
Pan.
Pam.
Here is my pop quiz question. What was Ben Stiller's directorial debut
Directorial debut. Wow.
for a film?
Now I don't think it's Zoolander because you wouldn't do Zoolander in two questions. What did he direct before Zoolander?
Couple of things.
Couple things.
Couple of things.
It's not the TV show, right? Not the Ben Stiller show.
Feature film.
Feature-length film. Is it over an hour and 30 minutes?
I'm gonna punch you in the face.
You couldn't reach me. You couldn't reach me if you tried right now. I'm a good 5
I'm gonna
feet.
swing my microphone over across the room.
That's a $250 mic, $300 mic. No, it's a $400 mic. You better pay for that.
It'll be worth it.
I paid for that mic. It's my mic. I'm
He
stalling.
directed 2 movies before.
Yeah,
Zoolander.
I don't know.
Reality Bites
Oh yeah.
with Ethan Hawke. He also directed The Cable Guy, though.
Dude, oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
which came out.
I remember the last
2
time
years
I
after.
watched Cable Guy. I saw that in
Yeah.
the credits. I was
Yeah.
like, couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
He's a good director.
Yeah, he's an excellent director. It's hard to direct comedy.
All right, who's our biggest hater of the week?
We got a few.
We had quite a few on TikTok.
Yeah, we got some negative stuff this week. I think people were just in a bad
People
mood.
was really upset. Like one of them on TikTok, I posted the clip of the scoop of me guessing the Ghostbusters year right, and because I didn't get it immediately, some guy wrote, "Sad that you didn't get this in less than a second." It's like, bro, I got it correct. Did you miss that part? Did you miss the part I got right?
It wasn't good enough, man.
It wasn't fast enough for Mr. Genius Master Movie Man, who should have his own podcast because he's the master of the universe who would never get a question wrong in his life, and would get Ghostbusters in less than a second.
That's our best hater.
D-bag.
I don't have to do them.
Dang, that guy.
I got some fan haters. Tahir Robinson commented, so he directed it then. I just want to be on the biggest hater of the week, but I can't be rude to you guys.
What was the video?
I can't remember the screenshot. Oh, it was Tim Burton, Nightmare Before Christmas.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Who didn't direct it?
Yeah, he didn't direct it. And then Mean Machine commented, I was talking about someone being a great actor, and Mean Machine said, "Not that difficult to yell and cry." and then they commented, "Give me the damn shout out."
That's a really good one. One of my new favorites. Not that hard to shout and cry.
I was cracking up. And then I made a clip about for No Time to Die, the filmmakers poured 8,000 gallons of Coca-Cola on the streets of Italy in order to make the motorcycle stunt safer to perform. And then Danik310 wrote, "Yeah, that great city of Italy, unsubscribed."
Did you say city of Italy?
No, I just said Italy. I said streets of Italy. They're just being a wise guy.
Matera, Italy was where they shot that.
And then in our clip in our YouTube video talking about the review of No Time to Die, Fenway Freak 17 wrote, "They were Land Rover Defenders, not Range Rovers. Unsubscribed." And I want to give a shout out to Bessie Colbert, who's Mad Hat 27. She is always commenting in our TikToks and interacting with us. We really appreciate your fan appreciation. You're awesome.
Speaking of fan appreciation, our biggest supporter for this episode is actually Brooke, who left an amazing review on Audible. I had no idea we were even on Audible or that you could review podcasts.
I thought
on
just
there.
Books were on Audible.
Me too, but I guess not. So Brooke wrote, "If you're someone like me who finds yourself Googling everything you can about film during or after watching, this is the podcast for you. They dive into literally everything. There are actor spotlights and director spotlights, and you learn so much about what went into making the films we love. Their back and forth commentary is hilarious. You can tell they spend a lot of time researching the facts and finding all the hidden gems that we may miss while watching. If you love cinema, you'll love these guys. P.S. The intermission is possibly the best part. Who doesn't love movie trivia?"
Oh, thanks so much, Brooke.
That's an awesome review.
Love it.
It's really sweet.
That's awesome.
Oh, I'm feeling so touched. Today is October 18th. On this day in film history, in 1991, My Own Private Idaho was released, starring Keanu Reeves and River Phoenix, directed by Gus Van Sant, right?
Nice job.
Thanks, man. Happy birthday to Frida Pinto, who is the co-star in Slumdog Millionaire, Zac Efron, and the iconic Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Nice. Bloodsport, baby.
What's your streaming recommendation?
My streaming recommendation this week is Hugo, which was just added on Netflix. It's Martin Scorsese's only child's film. It's an unbelievable story about a young boy who's just looking for a father figure. It's beautifully made. It's an unbelievable. It's probably my favorite children's movie. It couldn't be. Sacha Baron Cohen's in it. He's really funny. Definitely check it out. Ben Kingsley, Jude Law, really terrific.
I think that might be Scorsese's highest rated film on Rotten Tomatoes. It's like 94%. Because I actually made a tweet today about Scorsese and his most underappreciated films, and I put Hugo on that list because it is really, really good.
Yeah.
Cinematography is phenomenal. Chloe Grace Moretz is the lead in it. She's really great in it. And then I can't remember who the kid is in it.
Asia Butterfield.
Yeah, you're Asa Butterfield, right?
No, Asia.
Asia? I thought it was Asa, like ASA.
It's Asia. It was spelled that way.
Oh, yeah. Anyways,
yeah.
Great movie. This is on the rest of that list is like The Age of Innocence, Silence, Cape Fear, King of Comedy, Bringing Out the Dead.
Yeah,
there's like a dozen underappreciated Scorsese movies because everyone thinks he just makes gangster movies, which is far from the truth.
That's people who don't watch movies.
He's made more non-gangster movies.
Those are people who only watch Marvel
than
movies.
Gangster movies. You're right.
De Niro only plays a mobster.
Someone actually said that to me in person, where me and some other friends were talking about Scorsese, and he goes, and he's an actor too, and he goes, he only makes the same movie every time. I was like,
Are
I'm
you
not
kidding
even
me?
gonna get into this conversation because this kid's just a dumbass.
How ridiculous. Why? Because you didn't do an Iron Man movie? That's the dumbest thing I ever heard.
All right, anyways, let's get back into the episode. We are rambling too much.
People love our rambles, though.
I think they do, actually. So let's get to Scream 2. Now, this came out in 1997. Directed again by Wes Craven, written by Kevin Williamson. This is actually the highest rated on Rotten Tomatoes of the Scream franchise at 82%. And again, this is a pretty solid sequel. And so 2 years after the first series of murders, as Sidney acclimates to college life, someone donning the Ghostface costume begins a new string of killings.
Your narrator voice is just getting better and better. It's awesome. It's like a trailer voice.
I just like left my body. I blacked out what happened.
I love it. And Scream 2, it came out in 97. First Scream came out in 96. They came out less than a year apart.
Did they really?
Yeah, what happened was the writer of Scream came up with the idea for Scream 2 while they were in production of Scream 1. And because it was such a big hit at the box office, the studio was like, let's get it out ASAP. So Scream 2 came out less than 12 months after Scream 1.
That's wild for sequels.
Insane. That doesn't ever happen.
That's really like only Harry Potter's kind of in that realm, then like Lord of the Rings, things that they had to shoot quickly or consecutively.
But they started filming like Azkaban while they were making Chamber. You know what I mean? So they prepared in advance for that.
Yeah, and that's different. And they're in pre-production while they're in post on everything.
Exactly. So it's so rare for a sequel to come out in less than a year.
Yeah, and again, Scream 2, it's a solid sequel. I love the opening in this because it's so different than the first one. It's not just someone at home, but it's in a public space. We're at the movie theater. Jada Pinkett Smith, when she gets attacked and stabbed in the theater while her boyfriend gets killed inside the bathroom, which they spoof so well in Scary Movie.
Oh my God. She's like that theater person who won't shut up and everyone's like getting annoyed and they all just take turns stabbing her.
and then the boyfriend with the glory hole in the bathroom.
Oh my God.
Dude, it's ridiculous.
And then when she dies, all the theater guests, they just sit down and start enjoying the movie again.
She's so funny in that movie. But I think the opening of this is really great because it's very scary and then it's kind of like Ghostface is back and he's surrounded by Ghostface because now the story of Sidney Prescott and the murders at Woodsboro with this serial killer donning this ghost mask has become a movie now. It's a franchise called Stab.
That's my favorite bit of meta stuff in the entire franchise of like making a movie franchise of the movie franchise that we're watching. It's really terrific. Really smart and tongue-in-cheek, and the Stab franchise is really hysterical. Like I like in Scream 4, there's like 2 trailers of Stab setting it up, and it's just hysterical. I love it.
I don't like that.
I thought it was really funny.
I didn't like it in Scream 4.
I liked it.
It kind of pissed me off, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Let's
I'm sorry to hear that. Are you okay?
I don't know. We can talk about it after. Let's stay on Scream 2. And again, what's so scary about it is now it's turned into a movie called Stab, but culturally in this world, in Woodsboro and probably in the entire United States, this ghost face costume killer is now popular culture and people are donning the costume, and it comes into play in Stab 3 with all the costumes in the wardrobe department. But now Ghostface can kind of, especially in the movie theater, kill 2 people, and then just blend in with everybody. And who's there to witness it? Everyone's wearing the same costume.
And what's really cool is the Stab movie scenes. They show 2 scenes of the Stab movie, and it stars Luke Wilson and Tori Spelling as Billy and Sidney.
Dude, Luke as Billy is hilarious.
Yeah, it's so funny. But Robert Rodriguez directed those. He and Wes Craven are friends.
And also Heather Graham plays the Drew Barrymore character.
Yeah, exactly. She plays the opening scene character. But Robert Rodriguez made both those scenes for the film.
Luke Wilson with the hair, it's hysterical.
My God, it's so funny.
I don't know if they were doing it on purpose to be funny.
Yeah, it's funny.
Because
it's supposed to be funny.
It's really good.
Because the way he delivers his dialogue is horrible.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's pretty funny.
I love it. But what's really even cool is in Scream 1, halfway through the movie, someone asked Sidney, because it's become a big news story, the murders, someone asked Sidney who would she want to play her in the movie, and then in Scream 1 she said, I just hope they don't get Tori Spelling to play me. And then in Scream 2, in the Stab movie, they have Tori Spelling playing Sidney.
Hey, you're right.
It's really funny.
It's pretty good. But the movie theater sets up this movie great because, again, it's so different from what they did in the first time. And now we have Scream at college, and everyone's in school now. But it's Sidney and Randy, and plus now Sidney has a couple new friends. She has a new boyfriend who is very similar to Billy in some sense in terms of like just the cliche, just like attractive boyfriend, but then like but he's less greasy. He looks like he takes showers.
He looks like he's a Polo Ralph Lauren guy.
Billy does not look clean. He looks like he smells and is dirty, which I think some girls kind of like.
Yeah, they're very different. I think they're very different.
Yeah.
I don't think they're similar
Like he's
at all.
wearing the same jeans for like a whole month straight, where her boyfriend in this is like you said, like Ralph Lauren model kind of guy.
Yeah, he's like an Abercrombie guy.
He's like a super jockey dude.
Yeah, he
frat boy,
rowing kind of guy.
Yeah.
That's what. Yeah, so they're very different.
If I was Sydney, I'd just like not date for a while.
I know. Just don't have a boyfriend for like one summer.
Because Wes Craven and Williamson, they want you to think it's the boyfriend the whole time. Like we said earlier, they keep trying to throw you on his hint, but at the same time, it's like, is it really him? Who knows?
Dun dun dun.
Because we have the whodunit, and then we have the film student characters. Like
I like the film crew.
Timothy Olyphant, and then the other guy, and then also Randy's in that film class. Who just that professor has no control over that classroom.
There's no classroom is like that ever.
I've had discussions like that in college, but like there's like no structure to it. Like the kids are just like lounging, like
they're just chilling. It's like they're in a basement just chilling, watching a movie. It's ridiculous.
Are we gonna have a test this week? Who the hell knows? The scene is because they're setting up the rules for.
Oh, you're right.
The
they're setting it up. Yeah.
Obviously, when Randy and he gets into the debate with everyone, saying that there's no sequel that's better than the original, and people are like, "What about like The Godfather?" He's like, actually, The Godfather might be there, but he's basically explaining rules of the sequel where there's more killing. I think even the leads can die in the second one, or is that the third one? That might be the trilogy. No, it's the trilogy where the lead character can die.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the rules in the second film. Oh, actually, do I have a list? No.
But then he also said that Empire Strikes Back doesn't count as a sequel because it's part of a trilogy.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense too.
Yeah.
Which I agree with.
I don't agree.
It kind of because it's planned. Like what Randy says is it's planned.
Yeah, but then you say Dark Knight's not the better sequel.
Yeah, but I don't think Nolan fully planned.
Yeah, it was part of a
trilogy.
I don't think that rule makes sense. Because then you're saying Dark Knight's not the best sequel or one of the best sequels.
And then I guess you can say like Born Supremacy isn't one of the best sequels.
And then guess what? There's a third Godfather too.
Okay, you know what?
That rule doesn't.
There are some loopholes, I'm sure.
I'm just calling Randy out. I'm calling Randy out.
You should have been in that film class.
I should have been on set. I would have been like, "Shut the hell up, Jamie Kennedy. You don't know what you're talking about."
You should have been Timothy Olyphant in this movie. Who's a maniac in this role. It's crazy.
He's perfectly cast.
But yeah, Wes Craven tries to entice us into thinking that it's Billy the whole time because now the killer's back and the killer's let loose on this college campus.
Yeah, but it is smart to make us think that it's Derek for sure the whole time.
And Sydney, she's trying to live a normal life. She wants to be, a normal person. She's in that play, which is odd because the play is about this character who gets like stabbed viciously by 12 people in
with
hood masks and knives and daggers, which is odd. And her theater teacher professor is just totally taking advantage of her. He's just like using her trauma to act. It's like, bro, she's been through quite a lot. Like she doesn't have to do the role.
This isn't Broadway.
Like it's not that big of a deal.
It's a school play.
She should probably take care of her mental health. Stop using her for her trauma. In her past.
He's like, use your trauma.
It's also the guy you pointed out
Ninja
from
Turtles.
Ninja Turtles, the scientist.
Yeah, it's great.
Who makes the ooze?
I don't know what it is. I just recognize his voice immediately.
Yeah, we talked about because we watched Scream 2. He seems like he's lost every role to like Ian McKellen
and Patrick Stewart
over the last 20 years.
He hates them.
Because he's a pretty good actor. He might be the best actor in the movie, but he has like one scene or two. Really.
Yeah, he's definitely. I thought he might. When I first saw this, I was like, he could be a setup for Ghostface.
Great theatrical voice too.
Yeah, excellent. And and the whole crew's back. Gail comes back, and she's just even more famous. And then Dewey's come back, but he's injured. He has that spinal injury from the bullet last time.
Nerve damage.
Yeah, nerve damage. But although I don't know why they have it in this one and they got rid of it in the third and fourth one.
I think maybe it was a little too distracting. Not to say that obviously someone who has a disability, it's a terrible thing. But I think in the second film, it maybe didn't work as well. And maybe you can say that he's progressing in physical therapy and getting better.
I think the reason for it, actually, now that you think about it, is because in this movie, Dewey is running around to every single moment of crisis without a gun or a weapon, and his right arm is useless in a physical confrontation, and he's running to every situation like he's going to handle it.
Yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't make any sense.
Like, what's he going to do?
Like, you don't even have a gun, bud. What are you going to do?
Like, when him and Gail are about to get it on in that classroom, and then Ghostface is up there, he, like, runs up there. It's like, dude, he will kill you in a second.
Yeah. You can't even run straight.
First of all, why doesn't anyone have a gun in this movie? Why doesn't anyone have pepper spray? Sydney should be walking around with pepper spray all the time.
Yeah.
Even Gail, you've been attacked by a serial killer before. I use pepper spray when I go on my long runs because I've had some weird, sketchy situations, let alone being killed or someone trying to kill me with a knife and being stalked. Like, it's crazy. Get a knife. Get a gun.
And it doesn't make the story harder to, like, they could figure ways around characters having guns or weapons.
A taser. Something.
A taser would be perfect.
Ladies, have some mace or a taser in your pocketbook at all times.
Yeah, definitely. For sure.
Especially
if
Sidney
there's
Prescott.
Ghostface Killer trying to kill you.
My God. Like, get something.
No weapons
at least
all.
take some self-defense classes.
Oh my God. But there are some really great moments of suspense. Like, I think the scariest part of the film is probably when Sydney and her friend get in the car crash with Ghostface in the front seat, and then Sydney and her, they both have to crawl across the front seat and crawl across Ghostface to get out of the car.
Yeah.
I think that's a really great 5-minute scene that, like, the first time you see it, you're like, oh my God, what's going to happen?
It's pretty terrifying,
Yeah.
but also at the same time, I'm screaming at the screen, punch him in the face.
Just throat punch.
Throat punch. And he's out. He's out like a light at the moment, just like literally right in the jugular, man.
Yeah.
Right in the jugular.
And there are like 2x4s everywhere. Like, just fucking take one of them and bash his head over and over again.
Take your shoes off. They look pretty heavy. Smash it in his jugular.
Take the car keys, throw them in your fist, and just stab him over and over again.
It's getting a little too far. Anyways, they could have taken him out. Just saying. And also, they could have taken the mask off, but they're like, I don't want to look, but you shouldn't look. But I kind of want to look. But if you didn't stop talking about looking, you could have looked. Just take it off. What are you waiting for? It's like there's a monster in there, some guy. But
She got her friend killed. She got
her
her
friend
killed.
Haley. She actually, the girl who's trying to pledge into the sorority house, who she's trying to get Sydney to join with her too. And she gets in that car crash as they're being taken around with detectives who somehow get the jump on a guy outside of the car. Gonna be the worst detectives.
An empty block. There's
It's
no
an
one
empty road.
anywhere.
They let some guy outside kill both of them with a knife, and they have guns.
In the instant before, they saw an empty sidewalk and street.
Also, I don't think that this is the kind of job that detectives do anyways. Haley, she was originally going to be the Ghostface killer in this movie, but they changed it last minute.
Really?
Yeah, which would have been super interesting.
I think that would have been good.
Yeah, I probably would have,
Because I would not have seen that coming.
Because the plot of this one is also a major character in this film is Cotton Wary, who we heard about in Scream 1. He is the guy who Sydney testified against in her mother's murder trial, and so he went away, even though we find out was an innocent man at the end of the film. But it's still questionable whether he did or not. He might be taking advantage of Gail's book that Gail wrote, which freed Cotton from prison.
And Liev Schreiber he's the best actor in the entire franchise. Like, he's hands down, he's a super talented guy. I think this was his big breakout for him.
Yeah, it seems
I can't think of anything else major that he was in before Scream 2. And in Scream 1, he was such a minor character. He's like a photo you see on the news, and that's it. So I don't know if either the filmmakers were like, let's set him up because let's get a good actor for the first one, knowing that they would use him in the second one. Because, like I said, the screenwriter figured out the idea while making the first one. Or maybe they just got lucky with Liev. Like, they just happened to land a really talented actor for this tiny role in the first one. But either way, he's excellent in this film. Best actor. Very interesting character.
He's the only interesting character.
He is the only interesting character. And he seems like the obvious choice for Ghostface for sure. So it throws you off the scent as well.
But also, Mickey seems kind of weird.
Mickey was the most obvious.
Like,
by
he's
far.
like the weird film buff who kind of just like, why is this guy in this role? He looks so old. So obviously they wanted a good actor for this character. And
Yeah.
it's kind of obvious that we end up finding out is one of the Ghostface killers, but I didn't see the other one coming, which is, spoiler alert, is Billy Loomis's mother, and her motivation is actually the most plausible. She wants revenge on her son's death by Sydney, and she's actually comes into play like 5 times in this movie, 6 times before the reveal at the end of the film, where she's that annoying local reporter who's always bugging Gail Weathers.
Yeah, so you see her a ton, and it is a really good twist. And this is the best. This is the last time I'll accept like the personal connection to Sydney. This time right here, like Billy's mom. Okay, I'll take that. Although she is like maniacal psychopath as well.
Whereas Mickey's motivation is, so apparently they met on the internet. He's a serial killer, wants to be a serial killer, is just looking for the right push in the right direction, I guess, the motivation.
And Miss Loomis is like, she has so much potential. Like, what are you guys talking about?
What kind of chat room is this? My goodness. So Mickey's motivation is he wants to become a serial killer, so he wants to do the killing. He just hadn't started yet. And he also has a plan of getting off scot-free with innocently by blaming the movies, by blaming violent television and horror movies and action movies, and saying that he's the victim, and he thinks it's a genius plan to get off scot-free.
Not very genius. Not a great plan.
Because Mrs. Loomis doesn't give a F about his plan.
Yeah.
Just takes him out like nothing.
Yeah, no problem. No questions asked.
But I'm sorry, continue.
I will say the movie is good up until the climax.
Yeah.
And then the climax of Scream 2, it is pretty cringe because for some reason, Ghostface plays the musical opera soundtrack at the theater. And for some reason, like, Sydney goes there. I'm guessing it's because she maybe thinks her musical friends are there because there was a party there earlier. That's my only guess why she would go there. And then her and Ghostface and then eventually Mrs. Loomis have like this theatrical battle on the stage, and Sydney like does all special effects and stuff, and Mrs. Loomis is acting like she's trapped, even though like there's a whole stage of openness, like she could just step off the stage in front of her. It got a little like
she's creating wind.
Yeah,
like Sydney's in the back, like doing the wind.
Yeah,
It's like the thunder. That can't be that strong of wind.
Yeah,
and also she keeps like cutting the ropes with the axe, and things keep falling from the ceiling. Why are all these lights only attached by a rope? That is so unsafe. That's not how theatrical stages work. That someone could die because it's hung on by a rope. These are mounted to ceilings and grids and metal pipes. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. And like you said, if Mrs. Loomis just like hangs out in the corner of the stage, all these lights are just gonna fall around. She's just gonna be like, I'll just wait till she's done dropping all this stuff.
Hey, Sydney, you done? You done?
Is
Sydney?
that everything? Is that it? It's pretty ridiculous.
So yeah, that definitely takes you out of it. And what's really cool though is the filmmakers kept it a secret. Even the main cast didn't know who Ghostface was while they made the entire film, and they had no idea what the ending would be while they were making it. And they had to sign a non-disclosure agreement, and they were given the final 10 pages of the script on the last few days of filming. And then that's when they learned who Ghostface really was.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also Cotton comes into play. So after Mrs. Loomis takes out Mickey because she's like, I don't care about you, bro. I just used you to get to
let's
Sydney.
kill someone before Sydney.
And then she could kill Sydney like so many times, but then she just keeps having to have the talk with her and have the knife to the throat. But then Cotton shows up, and Cotton saves the day and basically takes, he shoots Mrs. Loomis and saves Sydney. But for a second, it seems like he's gonna take Mrs. Loomis' side.
Cotton's pretty needy.
Yeah,
he's pretty desperate
he wants
for
the
attention.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was in prison for a year wrongly, so I mean, that could probably do a lot to you.
Yeah, but I mean, the interview with Diane Sawyer is only $10,000. I mean, that's not even that much.
The exposure, man.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
But it ends fine. Dewey's alive. Also, like, Gail and Dewey are trapped when they're getting chased by Ghostface, and Dewey gets stabbed in front of Gail in the sound booth room.
Yeah.
And then she like leaves the leaves the building. At the end of the movie, Dewey gets wheeled out in a cart by paramedics. It's like, you didn't check to see if he was alive, Gail?
Did you even tell when he was there?
Because she escaped that room.
And she went to the theater.
You didn't even look at Dewey. You had to go through that room again.
Yeah.
So Dewey was there bleeding out, and he's probably like, Gail, help me. Call for help. And at the end, she's like, Dewey, you're alive? You could have helped him. She definitely wanted him to die.
Yeah, it would have been an easy out for her.
She's like, I don't need this stage 5 clinger anymore, man.
It was a mistake.
I'm more than a deputy.
Oh
He's not even a deputy in this movie.
No,
Not yet.
He's also just like lingering everywhere.
Yeah.
Like he's just always around, not doing anything.
He's like, does he take classes at the college?
No.
Where does he sleep?
I don't know.
Like on campus?
He's just lingering.
Does he have an apartment?
At the sheriff's office, at the school, he's just always around.
What sheriff would just let some random old cop from a different precinct come like be a cop
and be at the crimes? He's not even a cop. He's just like a lingerer.
He's not even a private investigator.
Yeah.
Why is he here?
No, it makes no sense.
It kind of seems like he's stalking Sydney.
Yeah, he's always like, I'm going to go talk to the sheriff. Why is he talking to you, Dewey?
I mean, yeah, you got stabbed in the back, but geez. Anyways.
But yeah, Scream 2 is a good sequel. It does kind of fall flat, but it is a really entertaining time for sure.
Yeah, the first act's solid.
Yeah.
And all right, let's move on to Scream 3. Now, Scream 3, let me get my voice going. Directed by Wes Craven, written by Aaron Kruger, released in 2000. Rotten Tomatoes has this at 40% on their meter. 1 second. Let me get the synopsis. While Sydney and her friends visit the Hollywood set of Stab 3.
I'm cracking up. Your face, you're like really enjoying it. If you're watching on YouTube, he's like smiling as he does it.
Hey, you have to get into character for this stuff, all right?
I just love how into it you are.
You know nothing about acting. I'm a voice actor now.
This is your second credit.
This is what I do. I'm on Fiverr, okay? Now let me get through the synopsis, please.
Continue.
I'm just gonna laugh through the whole thing now. Ready? All right. Hold on. All right, hold on. I can do this. I'm trying not to laugh. All right, don't look at Anthony's face. Don't look at Anthony's face. While Sydney and her friends visit the Hollywood set of Stab 3, the third film based on the Woodsboro murders, another Ghostface killer rises to terrorize them.
Rise of the Ghostface. The narration's great, man. That's excellent.
Appreciate it.
And this has another great opening with Cotton getting killed this time,
Which is great.
Yeah, I think it's probably, besides Drew, it's the best opening of the franchise.
But also we have a new gadget that Ghostface is using, this like voice changer, which I don't think is real.
It's not possible.
It's just created for the. I'm sure Elon could do something.
Well,
like
a lot
that.
of work would go into it.
Yeah. I mean, Alexa talks to me in my room. I'm sure they.
Yeah, Amazon's $1 trillion company.
I could get Samuel Jackson on my Alexa, right? It's possible now, but 2000, maybe not. But so it's this new voice box where Ghostface can replicate anyone's voice, which, you know, it seems ridiculous, but it's for the story.
Yeah.
And so he tricks Cotton's girlfriend to thinking that he was
His wife. They were married.
Sorry. Trying to kill her. And then obviously he takes out Cotton. And I think it's really smart to take out Cotton because he's the main character from the second film. And we got to get going early on this movie to get people roped in, I think.
It's the first time a main killer was killed in the opening.
A main killer?
It's the first time a main cast member was killed in the opening. So it was definitely shocking, just like how Drew was shocking. And, you know, you just started to like Cotton from the second one.
Yeah, because he saved the day.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, he's a fleshed out character now. And now you're like, oh, I wonder what part he'll play in the next one.
And like now he's like a successful Hollywood producer. He's got the swanky apartment and he's probably
wearing a white sweater.
Making money off the Stab movies probably as a consultant and doing interviews and stuff. And we can assume he's just a very successful guy now. But see you later, Cotton Wary.
But it's funny. There's a moment in the opening when he gets home, he takes off his coat, and then he starts looking for his wife, and I was like, I always thought it was weird. And then I read recently that he negotiated with the producers to have him take his coat off because he had been working out so much, and he wanted to show off his physique.
The guns
and I was
guy.
like, that's such an actor thing to do. Such an actor thing.
He's trying to get roles, man.
Yeah, I know exactly.
That's what I think. A lot of actors realize you are a brand.
Yeah,
you're like a bumper sticker advertisement for other studios.
Exactly.
Basically, when you're in movies and you're young in your career.
Yeah, for sure. It helps to have a nice physique for sure. I mean, just look at everyone on Marvel.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason why Chris Evans got up to 220 pounds of muscle for Captain America. You don't want a 180. You don't want a 160 pound soaking wet Chris Evans. Anyways, we're talking about Chris Evans shirtless for some reason. I don't know why.
It always seems to end there.
With Chris Evans' physique.
Soaking wet Chris Evans.
That's going to be the third time we've talked about that. And not even we haven't done Captain America yet.
We don't need to.
Anyways, the film of the plot of Stab 3 is now of Scream 3 is Stab 3 is now being made, and it follows a lot of the characters who are interacting with the real people at the same time. So like the actress who plays Gail Weathers and Gail's in this too, and then Dewey and everything. So it's actually an interesting dynamic to see the actors interact with the real fake life characters.
Yeah, and you get some new good actors in this. Like Parker Posey's in it. She plays the actress playing Gail, and then Patrick Dempsey plays the detective who is pretty suspicious for most of the film. So they definitely added some new cast members that really helped up. And then obviously Randy's dead, but we do get that nice like videotape recording he made. So it's nice to see him. But also again, I was like seeing him in this movie. You're like,
it's the best part of the movie.
Yeah, I miss him in this movie.
Yeah, and so I do like how Sydney doesn't really show up until halfway through-ish.
I can tell you why.
She's got pieces here and there. Oh, tell me why.
So Neve Campbell made it in her contract that she only had to work for 20 days.
That's pretty smart.
And so that was a negotiation. So the filmmakers had to find a way around that because you can only do so much of 20 days of filming with the lead actor.
Damn, she must not like working.
She likes money and taking it easy, I guess. No, but I think she was working on a couple other things, and I think maybe she wanted to reduce her workload. And so that's why she doesn't have that much screen time in this film.
Well, I think it works because, I think you need to take a break from the main character. I think it's just livens it up a little bit. It's a new take, you could say.
Yeah, this one, it is pretty fun. It's got good comedy.
Because the murders are happening again, and we pretty much are following Gail and Dewey as they're trying to investigate everything that's going on, whereas...
And you could say those two are the most loved characters.
Probably.
Yeah.
And so they're doing their investigating. They find the connection of Maureen to Los Angeles, who's in the exact same photo where Gail's character was taken by Ghostface. So she was in Los Angeles at some point, and there's obviously this new character named Randy, who's the director of Stab 3, who seems very suspicious. Roman.
You just miss Randy.
Roman. I do miss Randy. But no, so Sid comes to help out basically with the investigation in a way you could say, and she's there working with them. And that's when Randy shows up on the videotape where he left a tape for his sister to show them if the killer came back again, meaning that you're now in a trilogy. And horror trilogies have different rules than just a sequel or just the original film of a genre, of a franchise. And there are different rules. And so...
What are the rules?
The rules are...
There are no rules.
Number one, the killer is going to be superhuman. You know, you're going to have to do more than just shoot him. I think Randy says you have to cryogenically froze him, then chop off his head or something like that. Rule number two, anyone, including the main character, can die. That means you, Sydney. And then also, the past will come to bite you in the ass. And this basically means that everything that you thought you knew about the past, something new is revealed that reveals the truth, and that what you thought you knew was untrue. Which is revealed when the killer is revealed.
Yeah, so that all that happens in this movie except Sydney survives. I don't think any of the leads die. I can't remember.
No.
No.
Oh, we forgot to talk about Randy's death in the second film.
Yeah,
which was kind of annoying.
Yeah, it was a good death scene, but watching him die was disappointing, and also it kind of doesn't make too much sense, like why the other two would just leave him alone on the phone, and also like. Why aren't they more interested in trying to figure out what Ghostface wants?
Also, if Ghostface is looking at you, you think he's on like a blanket on a phone looking at you?
Like they run to the first guy they see, and it's like, that's obviously not Ghostface killer.
He's obviously not in the area that you can see.
Yeah, exactly.
He's hiding.
It doesn't make any sense to leave Randy alone. So I think that scene, it has a good ending with the van scene because you don't see that coming. Like when the van door opens and Ghostface pulls him in, that's like, oh, shoot, I didn't see that coming. But the whole 5 minutes leading up to that is like, what the heck is going on?
All right, anyways, back to Scream 3. I think, there's also a Carrie Fisher cameo in this movie, which is pretty cool. I think the scariest scene is when Sydney's on the set and she finds the replica set of the original house that everything happened in Scream 1. It's pretty scary, and Ghostface comes to attack her there as well. And
Under a sheet,
yeah.
I think the scariest scene is when the actress... I think she's playing Sydney, the actress. She goes into that wardrobe room, and then she's surrounded by Ghostface costumes, and then she hides inside one of the costumes, and then suddenly Ghostface creeps out behind her. I think that was a pretty scary moment.
Good. Yeah. And so they suspect Milton the most. I think he was the producer of the film in the studio, and he has a connection to Maureen where he reveals to them that Maureen was sexually assaulted at multiple Hollywood parties while she lived in Los Angeles, which is pretty messed up. And I think we've realized it's pretty accurate to what Hollywood used to be like just a few years ago. And then the third act of the film all happens at Roman's party. He's the director.
I will say he's... Oh, I'm sorry. Were you going to...
No, you take it away, man.
He's having a birthday bash at his place, and he invites 6 people.
6 very specific people.
It's very suspicious.
It's kind of suspicious because we find out that Roman is the killer. Even though he fakes his death downstairs in the basement inside the coffin to drive off suspicion of him.
Pretty elaborate.
He's the killer, which is, it's all right. It's interesting because it's only one person instead of the duo. So it's just one Ghostface killer.
Yeah.
But the reasoning is because they're long-lost siblings. He's the son that Maureen had when she lived in Los Angeles, and she abandoned him.
And it's like, this one is a little too much of a stretch for me because there's no mention of a brother ever in the other films. So it's like becoming a soap opera where you're pulling in things from the past that, were never mentioned before. There's no precedent for it ever happening or, someone even existing. So that's very soap opera-y. And then also a character goes through the extravagant process of making a feature film just to kill Sydney. A little too much of a stretch.
Just go to Woodsboro and just take her out, bro.
Imagine all the work that went into getting hired to make a movie.
Yeah, you don't have to do that. And
Yeah.
like, dude, you're making a movie. At least make the movie first.
At least
like,
finish it.
Yeah, just be a director.
Like, what's the point of even making the movie? You could just like find her on your own. So that it was way too much of a stretch for me when they revealed this character to be the killer.
And that's what we mean when you have a franchise where each movie it's a different person that has to be connected to the main character. You're running out of realistic identities of people who could be connected to her and want revenge or to kill her.
And when it has to be a big twist, like the writers begin making it like basically impossible to even guess that this person is the killer. And when they make that person the killer, it makes it very like unfair for the audience. Like there's no way that guy can be the killer, but he is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you know, it's not terrible.
Yeah, it does its job.
It's pretty good.
It's a good slasher flick.
It's pretty good. Third film in a trilogy, which it ends up being 4 films. And so let's move on to Scream 4. But before we continue,
Dun dun dun.
I'm sure Ghostface is a fan of our sponsor, Manscaped, because they have some of the best men's grooming products you can get. And I'm telling you, we just got an email yesterday from our rep Kyle there. They have a bunch of new men's products that are coming out that we can't talk about, but I'm just teasing it right now. They're coming in November that you guys should all get super excited about, that I'm definitely interested in. We'll be getting those in soon. But for the meantime, use our coupon code Raiders of the Lost at checkout from manscaped.com to get 20% off your order and free shipping today. Specifically, check out their Lawnmower 4.0, which is a brand new groomer that has a 7,000 RPM motor, wireless charger, built-in light. It's amazing. Fellas, you gotta get on Manscaped. Their products are incredible. This is stuff we'll actually use. I'm telling you guys, everyone listening, if you got a man in your life, you don't know what to get him, the holidays are coming up, anniversary, birthday, Christmas,
Baptism,
Thanksgiving, a wedding gift, take a hint gift, go to manscaped.com, where 2 million men worldwide trust their products. Use our coupon code Raiders of the Lost at checkout for 20% off free shipping all of their products today.
There's one qualm I have with the entire Scream franchise, and that is the marketing. Specifically the posters.
I like the first one.
The first one's cool, but then every single Scream poster is the exact same thing as the first Scream poster.
Yeah,
it's
you're
just
right.
like all the heads of the main characters in a triangle with very dark lighting with the black poster, and it gets a little redundant.
It looks like a play.
Yeah, exactly. But if you guys love posters like we love posters, you gotta head on over to movieposters.com and use our special promo code Raiders15 off to get 15% off your order today. Our set is covered with these amazing posters, high quality stuff, everyone. Movieposters.com has all sorts of sizes, framing, backlighting, whatever your poster needs are, they can handle it. They also have pretty much every movie imaginable in their arsenal. Head on over to movieposters.com, use our special promo code Raiders15 off to get 15% off your order today.
Now we have one film left, Scream 4, and then we'll talk about the trailer just dropped today for Scream. I guess 5. It's just called Scream again.
It's like a reboot, but with the same cast.
Well, Halloween did that, right? They called it Halloween.
Yeah.
But anyway, Scream 4 came out in 2011, directed by Wes Craven, written again by Kevin Williamson this time. On Rotten Tomatoes, this is at 60%, so it's pretty good. And now, 10 years have passed, and Sidney Prescott, who has put herself back together thanks in part to her writing, is visited by the Ghostface killer.
I love it.
Thanks.
Great job.
I tried not to laugh at that one. Wasn't as good as the Scream 2 was the best one.
Yeah. So I like the opening of this one with the stab openings because twice. So the movie tricks you twice. It opens with 2 characters, and then they get killed, but then it ends up being a trailer for Stab 6, and then those 2 characters watching the Stab 6 trailer, they get killed.
Well, one kills one.
Yeah, one kills the other, and that's the trailer for Stab 7, and then we're in the real scene. But what's really cool is the first one is Anna Paquin and Kristen Bell are the 2 girls who get killed. So it was like a nice little fun Hollywood cameo to throw into this like 30 seconds of the film, but I think it's a funny opening. It's because
I thought it was kind of annoying.
it's not what you expect.
I know it's not what I expect, but it's also like, can't we just get one opening? Just do it.
Yes.
Just get it over with. It's like a Band-Aid. Just rip it off.
You are impossible to please.
Okay, so this movie, it's got good parts, but overall I think it's kind of meh. For me, I think it's my least favorite in the franchise. It didn't even break $100 million on a $40 million budget. And this movie has this weird, like, soft glow filter throughout the entire film.
It must have been something they did with the film.
And it's all the highs are glowing. And
It's like Saving Private Ryan.
it works, I think, it's worse.
Yeah.
Saving Private Ryan works great. it works. It would work for like a dream sequence. I think it worked fine. But the entire movie is like this, and it seems like it's like a dream sort of. But I'm not a huge fan of the way it looks.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely doesn't have the look or feel of the other Scream films, which are. It's not like great cinematography, and it's clearly mostly sound stages, even a lot of the exterior scenes. But like, you're not going to a Scream movie for like unique cinematography. You know what I mean? You just want to see people get killed and laugh a bit.
Yeah, the outdoor party scenes in Scream 2 are like, that's definitely a soundstage.
It's so well lit.
The moon is very bright tonight. Oh, it's very bright again tomorrow night.
And it's coming from multiple directions. But yeah, this film, it definitely doesn't look like a Scream film. And I'm not a big fan of the characters of the new cast, like any of them really. And I think that
I like Kirby, who's played by Hayden Panettiere. I think I would like her the most of all of them.
Yeah, she's definitely the best for sure. But I just think like their arcs and their dialogue, I just was not feeling it for them at all.
Yeah, so Sydney now is an author, and she wrote a book about surviving all these attacks in the Woodsboro murders and everything. Dewey is now the sheriff of Woodsboro. Gail is a writer, and she has writer's block, and she's pretty envious of Sydney and all of her success. And now we have this newcomer, Jill, who is Sydney's cousin and is a pretty prominent character in this film. And now the killer is striking again in the town, and
taking out Jill's friends.
Yeah,
mostly.
and the killer left their phone in Sydney's rental car trunk with a bunch of bloody pictures
of Sydney
and a knife.
Dun dun dun.
So I mean, it's got to set it up somehow.
That's a big news story.
But yeah, I mean,
but hold on, so the biggest thing, we mentioned it earlier, when you watch this movie, you're like, are there any people of color gonna pop up in this movie?
Yeah, compared to Scream 2.
And it's really bad. This cast is so white. There's like 20 leads and they're all white, and Anthony Anderson, and he has like 2 minutes of screen time. It's honestly laughably bad how the filmmakers didn't even make an effort to try and bring diversity to this film.
Yeah, and this is 2011.
Yeah, it's not even that long ago. It's just like really bad casting, and they didn't even think to do it, which is sad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's a decent movie, but again, I'm not a huge fan of this film, and it's a lot of the same kind of things that we'd seen before, and we're running out of material, I think, in the Scream franchise. And I think that's why when I watched the trailer for Scream 5, it wasn't that exciting because, I mean, we're going to do the same thing again.
It's like Scorcher 6 again.
Here we go again.
Tropic Thunder, if anyone's seen it.
Who left the fridge door open?
And the killer in this one is Jill. It's Emma Roberts' character and her friend, the film guy, Charlie, played by Rory Culkin, who's excellent in that, what's that show called? Whatever. I can't remember.
Billions? No,
the other one.
Yeah.
I love it. I can't even think of the name. I'm
clearly
blanking.
Huge fan of the show.
I really love it. But so him you can get, but then the Jill character, I think, again, connect a family connection or some kind of relationship to Sydney. You're pushing it again. It doesn't need to be her cousin, I would say. But again, I just wasn't feeling this twist.
At least you could say you couldn't really see it coming with it being Jill. But
because you thought she was the lead.
If you actually watch closely, Ghostface, a lot of the kills, it's actually someone who seems to be about the same height and build of Jill, which is unusual because it's usually like a dude. In the first two, it's all guys except for in Scream 2, Loomis's mother. But you can tell that Mickey's doing probably most of the killing and slashing in that movie. But you can actually kind of spot, it seems like Emma Roberts underneath the Ghostface costume. Mm-hmm. But I didn't really see it coming with Jill. I obviously suspected either Charlie or the other guy in the movie, but it was a good surprise. I just don't like her motivations a ton. She just wants to be famous, and this will get them exposure, and you're going to kill a bunch of people just to get famous. I'm sure some people would, but it's pretty psychotic, which she obviously is.
It's a little strange, and also when you factor in that your cousin is extremely famous, so that could definitely be a stepping stone to you finding fame somehow. So you already have a pretty decent starting off point if fame is what you're looking for. So there's really no need to try and kill everyone.
Well, she probably just wants to take Sydney's fame. She wants to be the new Sydney
Yeah, she wants
Prescott.
to be the new survivor, yeah. But, I mean, again, it's like...
And they do the same kind of thing that Billy and Stu are doing with framing somebody else by stabbing each other, but then she just takes out Charlie like whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's cool when she does stab Charlie. She like literally kills him because she wants the glory to herself. But then she stabs him like multiple times, but then she only stabs Sid once in the belly.
Yeah.
And it's like,
That's it. That's all you're doing to her. Like, don't you want to make sure the job is done?
And also, Kirby, she gets stabbed in the stomach by Charlie, and I'm pretty sure that Wes Craven was setting this up to be Kirby taking over the reins of the franchise, and she was going to be the main character in Scream 5 and 6 if this was successful enough, which it wasn't.
Oh, well, so yeah, I guess they're going in a different direction.
But I think Hayden Panettiere is probably the best actor in the film.
Yeah, she is the best.
Overall,
Yeah.
she's the most talented.
Emma Roberts is a good actor.
Oh, yeah, she's pretty good.
Very good
Well,
actor.
I think Hayden's performance is the best.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think David Arquette was better in this movie because again, I don't think he's very good in Scream 2.
It's the best version of Dewey.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Where he's kind of fully formed character now. They all sort of are fully formed characters.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, ultimately, this is my least favorite of the franchise.
All right, and we just saw the trailer earlier today of Scream 2022, and this is a new installment of Scream horror franchise. Will follow a woman returning to her hometown to try to find out who has been committing a series of vicious crimes. And I was very excited for the trailer. I've been looking forward to it because we love Scream, and I was a little underwhelmed by it. It doesn't look amazing. It looks kind of meh, like Scream 4 and Scream 3. Maybe they're hiding stuff or holding back. I don't know. We'll wait to see some more stuff going on. But again, it seems just like it's the same thing as Scream 4, Scream 3. Not exciting. The filmmaking doesn't look astounding. It looks kind of like a TV show style, like the CW
Looks like
stuff.
a Netflix show, yeah.
So no, but there are some great Netflix shows. It looks more like the Scream TV show. I think they did a season of that. It kind of looks like that filmmaking.
It also looks like they spoiled the entire opening scene in the trailer.
I don't know if they completely spoiled it. It seems like I saw people reacting to it saying that maybe it's the first Scream movie where the character in the opening survives.
I mean, she gets dragged in the doorway.
I don't know.
It looks like they just condensed the entire opening scene and put it in 30 seconds of the trailer.
Yeah, that's what it looks like for sure.
So, I mean, it looks like they're just giving way too much away as well. But, I mean, there's only so much you can tell from a teaser. So, we'll see a second trailer and then keep an eye on reviews for it.
Yeah, because we love Scream. The first one's phenomenal. Second one's pretty good. The rest are Fifth's probably gonna be it's gonna be around there, and that's my rating. That's how I rated movies. How many? It's pretty good.
Want to do some trivia?
Yeah, let's do some trivia.
In Scream, when Henry Winkler opens the closet in his office, his black leather Fonzie jacket from Happy Days can be seen hanging on the door.
I love that the Fonz is in that movie.
Yeah, right?
Every time I see him in something, I'm like, it's the Fonz!
In Scream, the high school scenes were supposed to originally be shot at Santa Rosa High School in California. However, right before the shooting date, the school board read the script and denied the film to be shot there because of the violent nature. As payback, director Wes Craven put in the final end credits under the special thanks section, "No thanks whatsoever to the Santa Rosa City School District Governing Board."
It's kind of petty.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that, Wes. Like, I mean, if you had a falling up. But
Well,
like,
I think it's so close to the date they kind of messed up.
oh, they canceled it last minute.
Yeah, literally right before they started filming.
Okay, never mind. Yeah.
So they originally said yes.
You know what, Wes? Good for you.
Yeah, good for him.
It's goddamn school boards.
David Arquette revealed that he turned down the role of Billy in Scream 1 in favor of playing Dewey, which was originally written as a hunky action leading man part.
Wait, he was auditioned or asked to be Billy?
Yeah, he's gonna be Billy.
I don't know if I could see David
I couldn't
Arquette
see
doing that.
Yeah, I couldn't see him doing that.
I don't know, maybe.
Sinister and like dark, yeah,
Moody,
I don't
brooding.
Yeah, I don't see that. In the movie Scream 3, Wes Craven filmed 3 different endings and did not tell the cast which one he was going to use for the final film. So nobody knew the ending until they saw it at the premiere.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Nice.
That's all the fun facts I got.
All right, well, thanks everybody for tuning in to this episode on the Scream franchise. Hope you all enjoyed it as much as we did. The first one, obviously, iconic film. And Wes Craven, rest in peace, was such a great director. And, you know, he's one of the biggest directors in the horror genre. So he's made so many incredible films. And if you want to support the show, make sure to go to patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast to help us keep the lights on and get all these awesome perks. We just did a hat giveaway last week. It was a lot of fun. And we do tons of stuff like that all the time.
And comment your favorite Scream movie in this video. We're curious to hear your thoughts.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Raiders of the Lost podcast. Be sure to subscribe if you're new. Hit the like button, leave a comment. Find us on all audio streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find us. Find us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Raiders of the Lost podcast. Be sure to check out one of these other videos right here for more content on our favorite films and breaking down all kinds of movie content. Thanks so much.